The One Direction Boys with While We're Young. Time to welcome my guest of the day.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
I'm pleased to welcome today a friend and a captain of the industry who's incomparable. He's MD and CEO at Tata Realty and Infrastructure Limited, the excellent Sanjay Dutt. I'm just so happy to see you. How are you?
Thank you so much for calling me. Good to see you as well.
Sanjay, how's life been in lockdown? It's not easy. It's a new normal for all of us. How's the working from home experience?
Life is very different, but it has its plus and minuses. So we were quite stretched in terms of work, and therefore to be able to spend time with the family, some late realization of what you could have done in your life beside work, health, and many other things. The things that you missed reading, the music that you missed not listening to, some conversation with your colleagues that you always wanted to do, but you didn't do it. Some, thoughts to what wrong that we have done as citizens or what we should be more sensitive about in today's world, whether it's nature, whether it is all those realizations, introspection actually has come in. So that way it's been very spiritual.
That's wonderful. And like I spoke to Ashish Hemrajani, who's the CEO and founder of Book My Show, Mr. Mariwala, who heads Marico, Mr. Velumani, who's CEO of Thyrocare, and all of them have different skills they have discovered. Ash says that there are nooks and crannies of his house that he didn't know about, and he's learned how to put washing machine fluid in the liquid, bake some bread. Dr. Velumani says that, sitting up in his office is something which is very, very new because he's always on the floor. But his kids say, listen, you're above 60, you're a sensitive group, not going to let you be there. Mr. Mariwala talks about all the new books that he's discovered. What has Sanjay Dutt discovered? A skill set that he's discovered or worked upon?
I believe all that you just mentioned, I discovered them long time ago because, there was always awareness. My wife, right from the beginning, after giving up her career, took up, to look after the kids. We had 2 children and we somehow never felt comfortable taking external help. So she would do everything. And I would always feel guilty that I'm not doing much. And therefore I started doing things just like anybody else would do at home. So, occasional cooking, washing of my own clothes, occasionally dusting and taking care of my room, many such things. And in last few weeks, of course, even more. So that realization was always there. But what I've learned new, I'm learning, I've not learned yet. So I picked up an old guitar and I said, how can I, which I always wanted to do and impress few of my friends, I can learn now and do something about it.
That's wonderful. Excellent. So do you go with the flow, Sanjay, when you wake up in the morning, or do you have an Excel sheet or a timetable saying this time to this time, Zoom calls with colleagues, meetings, this time to this time devoted to family, housework and things like that? Or do you just go with the flow?
Initial first 2 weeks were just hodgepodge. There was just no structure to it. We were trying to come to terms with whether we can actually work from home. But after that, things became a lot more structured. And I think most CEOs at the back of their mind, they always have this concern about business, taking care of their customers and employees and well-being, whether these circumstances will push us taking into some hard decisions. So to ensure that we come back and bounce back to normalcy, you wanted to make sure that you don't miss out the opportunity. So I spent a lot of time engaging with my colleagues to see how to overcome the challenges. So there's a big part of my life right now which is quite structured, to answer your question. But there are some pockets of time when I just throw myself out to take a break during the day. In fact, very recently we realized that we were perhaps overworking. So we were very excited with this new work from home and webinars, etc., etc. But I think we needed to slow down and take some breaks. So some kind of discipline over the weekend, especially related to work, we just eased it out. So, it's helping. So I think we're adapting.
Nice. A cooking skill that you have? I mean, are you a good omelette maker?
My favorite is sabudana khichdi with some haldi.
You make it yourself,
yes,
huh? Wow.
Absolutely.
Gotta get that recipe.
Yes, you should try my mutton sometime. Definitely love doing omelets. I've always been doing my own teas, which I love in the morning and in the evening, which, just 2 cups during the entire day. But you enjoy the experience of doing it.
Hint, when the lockdown is over, invite me over for a meal.
Oh, yeah, please. There's so many things to do after this gets lockdown gets over. Yes.
True that.
The jovial Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO, Tata Realty and Infrastructure and Tata Housing, shall continue on the show. Say hello to stand-up comedian, actor, singer-songwriter Andy Grammer with Fine By Me. You're tuned into 94.3 Radio 1 One World, your station. My name is Hrishi K. Great band Fits in the Tantrums with their hit I Just Wanna Shine. The real estate sector, as it is, was going through a tough phase, even pre-lockdown. And now in this crisis, it's important to have leaders in the segment showing the way. Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO, Tata Realty and Infrastructure and Tata Housing, is my guest of the day. More conversation.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
What really is the first thing you're going to do eventually when the lockdown is lifted? What's that first thing that you can think of?
The first thing we've already done, Hrishikesh, I think what we want to ensure, like many of our properties which are large in parks, IT parks, 40, 60,000 people are going to be working there. So we have redesigned our standard operating procedures. How do we ensure that people come at different time zones, different gates? So we minimize their exposure and risk. We're going to do the same thing with our office. I don't think we will be in a rush to bring all employees back into office. We have already decided that we will bring 50% or only need to be in the office basis. And therefore, over a period of time, take a view and then open up a little further. So I think those things are really occupying our mind right now. And the most important thing, of course, is how do we keep the business going? Because cash flow is critical. And so a lot of thoughts around that, how to go about doing it.
But you've really taken responsibility, Sanjay, and you've risen to the occasion. I'd like you to talk about some measures you put in place very early on, when the lockdown was announced, what Tata Realty and Infrastructure have done across the board for employees and then the safety of people coming into these infrastructure projects.
So first of all, the group chairman came out with a very clear message to everybody in the organization across group companies that we need to take care of people. And people, whether they are employees, vendors, customers, there is no color. There is just one color. They all are people. We need to take care of them. We need to make payments of the vendors on time. We need to take care of all the construction workers. We have 6,000 workers, of which 2,500 are being taken care of on day-to-day basis. And thank God, we had very good labor camps. So they were very well managed. And we had doctors dedicated for them, and we had a staff taking care of their health in terms of training, development, entertainment, exercises, etc. So I'm very proud when I say that we have zero COVID-19 amongst employees. So nearly 1,000 odd people. We have zero COVID-19 amongst all 2,500 construction workers. And we have zero COVID situation so far amongst all our residential complexes because we took a lot of measures early at the stage to ensure that we discipline and we regulate. And I think that is just so wonderful. So to head an organization where we incurred some measures earlier to be able to protect these people is just wonderful to begin with. What is even more important is to take care of the psychological, needs of people during this time. So we have a lot of social platforms. We just launched a new app called Sociable, which combines all the social activities of social media and your private network within the organization. So it's bursting with news and personal messages and shares that people are sharing with each other. We've also launched within Tata Group a kind of a education program. So you can go online, do courses, certain skill gaps that you always thought, certain reading materials, etc., etc. So a lot of those initiatives to engage and not impose, but let everybody decide and choose how they want to go about it. And I think this has been very useful overall. We've also done a lot of engagement with our customers. So from top leadership to all the way down, everybody is approachable and we're doing video conferences and we're engaging. And we're also making sure that we do not push them too hard. If there's some payments are late, why not give them some break? And let's not rush into some registration formalities. The business as usual, we're trying to push, but we're trying to do that with certain humane side of the business attached to it, which is, I think, very important. So the culture of looking after the people it's really coming out very strongly within the organization.
Well, tough times test the caliber and values of any organization, and glad to know that Sanjay Dutt and the good people at Tata Housing are doing well. Let's do some Banana by Konkara and Shaggy now, only on 94.3 Radio 1. One World, your station. I'm Hrishi K. DNC with Body Moves, getting a move on with our focus show on real estate and our CEO's Working From Home series. Chatting with me is the inspirational Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO, Tata Realty, Infrastructure and Housing.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
It's been a while since we talked about projects. Even before COVID-19, the real estate for housing was going through a bit of a slump. Infrastructure projects, however, were picking up in certain parts of the country. In other parts of the country were lagging behind. Tata's focus just pre-COVID-19 and, your focus as soon as, things start returning to normalcy slowly and steadily. What is going to be the focus areas?
So first of all, let me spend a few minutes on telling the world through this medium that real estate is not only about residential real estate.
That's right.
It is about between residential, affordable, mid-segment and luxury and second homes, office, shopping centers, student housing, co-working, co-living, and to a very large extent, even senior living and hospitality. So you will be shocked to know pleasantly that in 2019, between Jan to December, India as a country did highest ever office demand in the history of nearly 47 million square feet of net office absorption only in 8 cities of India. The highest ever before was 42 million in 2008. And since then it came down and then it recovered and it's been doing well. So it's very contradictory to perception of real estate not doing well. All the commercial developers are rocking. All the private equity and fund managers are laughing all the way to the bank and making tons of profit. The REIT got listed and investors who invested in REIT, they made money, by the way. So very promising. And if you look at the impact of this, that means at least in the services space, job creation is happening in the top 8 urban cities at least. And if the job creation is happening, if every 100 square feet person somebody is taking, the same person few years down the road will take 1,000 square feet of an apartment. So there is a rub-off of 50 million office on 500 million potential demand for resi. If not everybody buys it, even half of it buy it, even then it's 250 million square feet. So resi, which used to do 5 lakh units a year, maybe down to 3 to 4 lakh square feet. Maybe we are selling more ready to move inventory. Maybe we're selling more affordable, but it's still selling to end users. Maybe investors and speculators are not there, but it's selling. Maybe because of COVID-19, there may be a freeze on capex by corporate and space take up, and some decision making may get stalled. So for a short period of time, the demand may come down. So clearly that we expect, and it's only natural, but because insecurities and concerns will rise depending on how long this lockdown and impact on the economy continues. Moving to all the other sector, which are warehousings and other, all of them were growing, and FDI in real estate was at all-time high. And more importantly, the investors are now far more informed about investing in real estate than they were 20 years ago. So I think there's a lot of maturity and a lot of balance. What remains to address, and this is something which is very serious, is the legacies that most developers ended up inheriting, because some of them are very new to the real estate market. They're just 10 years old. And therefore, there are approximately 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh crore worth of projects which are stuck. They need last mile funding, and NBFCs don't have money. Banks are kind of scared to lend, even though liquidity in the system is high with the banks. And therefore, a lot of projects who are cash flow positive and who need last mile funding are not able to get it, and they're stuck. If we can somehow, with the efforts of the government and policies and the banks, which the RBI is genuinely trying, comes through, the residential you will see would also revive. So that's the state of the affair. But I believe post-COVID, as an organization, we would be very disciplined in ensuring that we run a tight ship. We not make unnecessarily expenditures which are not going to lead to any results. So, for example, marketing expenditure, why release print ad when we go digital? Why not reach out, have a targeted sales and marketing instead of just random marketing? Why not promote sales to NRIs? They don't even need to come to see the property. They all know the reputation of Tata Housing and Tata Value Homes and Realty. functionality. They can go online, look at our 3D videos and brochures and terms and price assured of quality. They can book online and I can bring cash flow. So a lot of those business initiatives, a lot of digitization, a lot of remote working is being embedded post-COVID. And I think that's what we're embracing as a business today.
That's lovely.
Wise words and almost a snapshot on streamlining the business there by Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO, Tata Realty and Infrastructure, as well as Tata Housing. Time to bring on some Madonna. This is Hung Up, only on 94.3 Radio 1 World, your station. My name is Hrishi K. CeeLo Green with a cracker of a hit called Forget You. A well-rounded business leader, if ever there was one, Sanjay Dutt has traversed the length and breadth of the real estate business. Top management roles at JLL, Cushman & Wakefield and Ascender Sinbridge have led to his latest assignment. He's MD and CEO, Tata Realty and Infrastructure and Tata Housing. Here he is in an interview with me.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
A little birdie tells me that one of your primary passions is jewelry designing. Now,
Yes.
I'm a radio presenter. I'm a journalist, man of the media. I need to see some proof.
I can share something with you. I've made a small slide.
Lovely.
So let me take you through. So first of all, I love jewelry more than my wife does. It's a secret. I don't know why. It started with an experiment 15 years ago. It was a jewelry at Zoya store, which is in Mumbai. It's owned by Tatas. And they had a very nice brooch, which I liked. But, we don't wear brooch too often. So I said, but this could be a good earring. And it was a wild thought. The person at the counter said, but this is too heavy for your ears. And I said, but I think my wife can pull this off. And we placed an order, got it done. And it turned out to be a great, call because my wife looked pretty and the piece was big and nice and she just looked wonderful wearing it. Zoya came out with the smaller versions of it and retailed it subsequently, by the way. So I've not taken any royalty yet, but I'm glad something like that happened. It led to the jewelry piece you see in the middle. I call it a waterfall collection. So while it's lying, you don't make out, but these are kind of a Basra pearls and with droplets at the bottom. So when you wear it, it shows like a water gushing out and the strings are stitched in certain way that they are tight from the top and then they flow down. So it looks very pretty when they're, flowing like a waterfall. The two on the sides of this jewelry are basically Muranos from Italy, Venice, that I picked up. These are pieces which are traditional arts, blown glass ware, which is very unique art in Italy. They're normally used for, pendant on something, but I always liked experimenting. So I converted them into earrings. And like that, I've done 14, 15 pieces over the last 15 years and continue to do so. So I get inspired by architecture. I get inspired by thoughts. I get inspired by the personality of an individual. So if you have lines like this, for example, you can have two baguettes, rings flowing in the opposite side, showcasing your hand line into a ring, for example. Things like that. So it's random and sometimes it's customized to suit. And I do this to all those beautiful ladies out there only for my wife.
This is so beautiful.
Setting the record straight on his jewelry designing there, Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO, Tata Realty, Infrastructure and Housing. More to come on the show with him. Don't go anywhere. Meanwhile, here's Lizzo with Truth Hurts on 94.3 Radio 1 World, your station. I'm Hrishi K. The artist Hosier with his edgy sounds, that's Take Me to Church, talking about the real estate sector and also his life in lockdown and his parallel passions, is Sanjay Dutt, my guest of the day. Sanjay is MD, CEO at Tata Realty and Infrastructure and Tata Housing Development Company. More from him.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
Let's come back to the normal view. I have to say this. Really, that I remember when we went as tourists to Italy and we were taken to Burano and I saw this senior citizen sitting there and blowing the glass. I could never have imagined that somebody I know, somebody in my friend group would be doing this. So I'm very, very, very impressed. Another thing that I saw this resplendent picture of you on an Enfield motorcycle. And to me, bikes and rock and roll go together. And it's so appropriate in this phase of your life. You're rediscovering a lot of rock.
Yes.
the picture of a biker is always reminiscent of, Born to be Wild and, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, Heavy Fuel, songs like that. So rock music as well as biking. Let's talk about that.
Well, my dad was a police officer and I was brought up in Delhi, and we always had this Royal Enfield with us. I was only 12 years old when my brother taught me how to drive and sit holding the handle. My feet won't even touch the ground. So I started driving Bullet when I was 12 with the help of my brother. And by the time I was 15, I was driving myself. Of course, still not legit without a license. By the time I got 16, my dad was very courageous and he got me a YesD motorcycle. So I used to take YesD to my school. And since my dad was in police, I got away with many things at that point of time. So I've been a biker and you're right, rock goes very well. But I interestingly missed rock during my teens and times in colleges and early part of my life. It was mostly pop. And much later, I realized that I missed rock. And therefore, last 10 years, I've been completely immersed in rock. I remember coming to your studio, requesting you to play that song, Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing, Journey.
Yes. So my favorite rock stars, I love a lot of guitar and heavy stuff. So Slash, Styx, Steve Vai lately, of course, Scorpions and Dire Straits and Eric Clapton. I also learned Creed was the first supergroup where all the guys part of that group, of which Eric was a part, was the first supergroup and inspired a lot of people. So a lot of history kind of intrigues me as well. So I'm completely involved in it right now. And I listen every night.
Wow, amazing. Clapton, Cream, those names just give me goosebumps. It's wonderful. Okay, we're going to play a small little game before we say bye-bye. It's called Never Have I Ever. Only 3 questions. Now, if you've not done this, then it's okay. I mean, you've not done it. But if you have done it, you have to tell me when you've done it. You need not take names, but you just have to give me the experience. So, never have I ever slept off during a meeting or review? You've been in a meeting or a review?
Never.
Wow.
Never ever. Never ever.
Impressive.
Yeah, never.
Even if it's a boring presentation, you'll sit through it.
No. On the contrary, the boring becomes a very interesting subject to analyze why the hell this guy is doing this and become entertaining. But I've never slept. I may have slept in a movie, by the way, when things are not gone right, but never in a meeting.
Lovely. That's quite inspiring. Stolen from a fridge at night. By stolen, I mean it could be even your own fridge in the middle of the night.
Oh my God. I think I'm an expert. So this is the time when actually I become the stealth mode in the night when nobody can notice. And the upper side of the fridge gives me the ice cream, the lower side gives me the drinks, and it's a combination. And then there are some boxes on the side table of my bed where in the night my hand reaches out without looking at it and it goes straight into my mouth, knowing exactly what I'm eating. So I'm kind of an expert on that front.
Forgotten to wear the same pair of socks, as in reached work or reached somewhere different socks. You remember when?
Oh, yes, that has happened. I think sometimes you miss the dark blue and the black in a hurry when the lights are kind of somewhat not there. It happened with me even during a suit. So I wore a navy blue jacket and a black trouser accidentally. But not everybody notices. And I think there are a lot of people who are colorblind in this world.
Well said.
Making this corporate interview fun is Sanjay Dutt, head honcho Tata Realty, Infrastructure and Housing. We're entering the home stretch, so come back for that. It's Brian Adams and his rock and roll music. My name is Hrishi K, and you're tuned into 94.3 Radio 1 One World, your station. Santana and Wyclef Jean, epic song Maria Maria. An inspirational captain of the industry, Sanjay Dutt, MD CEO at Tata Realty and Infrastructure, as well as Tata Housing, has been chatting with me. Time to delve into some wanderlust with him.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
This is the time that we can't really travel, but wanderlust sets in. You sit in your armchair and think of all those wonderful places you've been to.
Yes.
A travel destination that you've gone to alone or with the family that you've really loved.
Well, my best trip ever was a month with the family where we did some Europe countries like Italy and UK and France. And then we went straight to Orlando where it was all fun. That 1 month was just fabulous. The second trip I had was my first, time in Tata's was I went to over New Year to London. And it was not London city only. It was 3 days the city and the remaining days countryside. And I drove myself and my kids drove the car as well. So that was really fun with the family. Since I do a lot of road trips with the family, we recently went to Udaipur. So food, dhabas on the way and a lot of travel, just the breeze that you see, the beauty that you see and the uncluttered landscapes, which in the city you actually see all around you. But when you step out just 100 kilometers, things change. So I really enjoy that.
A captain of the industry, a business leader that you really admire and why? You could choose multiple names or just one name? Somebody you really admire and why?
Well, it goes without saying right now, my group chairman, perhaps I admire the most, Chandra, because, he's first professional to head the business in the Tata as a group. One of the inspirations I joined as well. And making so many changes in such a difficult environment, it just fabulous. And I know probably to pull that off in such difficult economic conditions globally, whether it's automobile, whether it's steel, whether it is many other businesses or even real estate, for example. So that's clearly one. I was very fond of collecting annual speeches, the annual general body meeting speeches. And one of my favorite was of Mr. Anand Mahindra. I really loved. I think his lighter approach to things and the way he sometimes uses Hindu mythology to business, just like Mr. Patnaik on the YouTube, if you've seen any.
Yeah,
it's just fabulous how you can take away so many, learnings from Vedas and Upanishads and Hindu mythology and apply in the modern corporate world. Fascinates me. Every leader who selflessly devotes himself are my, idols. So, and many of them are actually my colleagues reporting into me. So fascinated by, I'm so glad that I'm surrounded by people who are far more intelligent and better than me.
Awesome.
And they inspire me every now and then. For example, I have a very strong HR person. Her name is Reena Wahi. And HR has been one of my favorite subjects from childhood. Even in my management program, I took HR as a subject beside marketing. And I believe, in real estate, there's a very famous saying, it's all about location, location, location. That's what everybody says in real estate. And I believe, I don't want to confront that, but I believe it's all about people, people, people. Because when you design real estate, it's the people who use it. And therefore, if you do not have any emotional connect and empathy, you can never be a good leader in all fairness. So for me, HR is part of business function, which is extremely important. Services industry, even more. So those are the kind of leaders who inspire me. I have one more leader, who's gifted on taxation and finance and many other things. And there's some guy who's does great job on marketing. So it's never just the iconic figures. It's also a lot of people that surround you, who inspire you.
Truer words have not been spoken. That's Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO, Tata Realty and Infrastructure. I'm afraid that's all we have time for today as far as the Sanjay interview is concerned. But we're going to do a small part 2 tomorrow to close things down. Be sure to be back for that. Meanwhile, here's John Mayer and he's waiting in the world to change. I'm Hrishi K and this is 94.3 Radio 11 World, your station. Florida with good feeling. Always a good feeling when you have an industry leader who's at the forefront of action in lockdown or otherwise. I'm referring to real estate sector guru Sanjay Dutt, who's currently MD and CEO of Tata Realty and Infrastructure as well as Tata Housing Development Company. I had started a very interesting chat with Sanjay yesterday and this is part 2 of that, the concluding part. Here we go.
94.3
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Radio 1.
So while you were in college, an MBA at IMT or during your undergrad or during school, any great memories that you can share with us?
Oh, yes. I have a friend from my management program. I did it from IMI Qutub Delhi.
Okay.
And his name is Harjeet Singh Rekhi. So he and I get along really well. Even today, we visit each other and stuff. So, we will always be engaged in some conversations. And the professors will notice. And just to embarrass you, they will ask you a question knowing that you will not be able to answer because we were not paying attention. So that would happen to us very regularly. And each time they did ask question, we pulled off the answer without blinking an eye. And my God, the jaws would drop of a professor and the people around us who know that we were actually chatting all this while. How did we do that? And those are the best moments that I can think of. And of course, during those college days, we didn't have PowerPoint in those days. Those were slides you put on the projector. So spending those late nights at somebody's house doing slides and writing with a marker till 2:30 and 3, and next day going to work and 6 o'clock you're back on the stage. So it was just memories like that.
Lovely. A book that you read that really inspired you, a book that you'd recommend everybody who's watching or listening to?
Oh, so many books and so many people who inspired me. But the one that came very close to how I thought I did business was Blink. So
Malcolm Gladwell.
Fascinating. Yeah. Just fascinating. And I think we sometimes over-engineer these management principles. There's some very simple ways of doing it. First, you should have a heart with only one intent to do well for somebody. You should have well-meaning approach to everything in life. Don't have economic interest or vested interest attached to it. And then have the courage to experiment, have the courage to fail. And sometimes just do what you think is right instead of just overthinking too much. And yes, you will miss some along the way, but you will click many along the way. One principle that I've followed all my life is when you delegate somebody the authority, don't leave them to swim on their own. You have to go down and dive and hold their hand to see that you can handhold them to success for a period which is just about enough for them to there onwards excel and outperform themselves. And I think that has always worked for me. And beside the obvious thing, you see, there is no shortcut to hard work and learning and knowledge. You need to keep learning, which I think all of us don't disagree with. These things matter.
Valuable insights there. Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO of Tata Realty and Infrastructure. What a wonderful session. It had insights,
Thank you so
it had
much.
fun, and it just spoke so much about you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Cheers.
Thank you. Be safe.
Let's toast to that super interview with this super Ellie Goulding and Calvin Harris track called I Need Your Love. I'm Hrishi K, and you're tuned into 94.3 Radio 1 One World, your station.